Commander Zara Velton stared at the star map glowing in front of her. The small yellow star sat alone in its corner of space, surrounded by red warning markers that had been there for 300 years. Every alien child in the galaxy knew about this place. Every spaceship captain had been taught to stay away from it. The Sol system was forbidden territory. Zara had always wondered about the humans who lived there. The old records from the Galactic Council told strange stories. Some said humans were wild animals who killed each other for sport. Others claimed they were weak creatures who got lucky once in a big space battle. The most frightening stories said that humans did not just kill their enemies. They made them suffer first. Nobody really knew the truth. No ship that entered human space had ever come back to tell what happened. The humans never left their small corner of the galaxy. They never tried to talk to other species. They just stayed in their yellow star system like dangerous beasts in a cage. Zara walked across the bridge of her ship, the Star Wind. Her crew of 12 Kethrans worked quietly at their stations. They were good people, smart and brave. But she could see the worry in their eyes. Everyone knew where they might be going soon. The trouble started 3 weeks ago. 3 colony worlds, near human space, had gone quiet. No radio signals, no ships, no signs of life at all. Long-distance sensors showed something big moving through space in that area. Something heading toward the populated systems where billions of aliens lived. The Galactic Council was scared. Their military forces were busy fighting a disease outbreak in the far edge of the galaxy. They did not have enough ships to investigate the missing colonies and protect their other worlds too. That left them with a terrible choice. Admiral Kane, Morrison paced back and forth in his office on the council station. He was a Zenthari, tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. He had fought in more battles than most soldiers could imagine. But he had never faced a decision like this one. The emergency meeting had lasted 6 hours, 12 species arguing about what to do. The Vorthan delegation wanted to send a full battle fleet to destroy the humans before they could attack anyone else. The peaceful Milani suggested trying to talk to them first. The Kethrans, Zara's people, offered to send a small scout ship to see what was really happening. In the end, Admiral Morrison made the choice that would change everything. He would break the oldest law in the galaxy. He would send a ship into human space. Captain Lisa Grant received her orders while her ship was docked at Kepler Station. The Harmony was an exploration vessel, built for making contact with new species. It had strong shields, powerful sensors, and enough firepower to defend itself. More importantly, it had Lisa Grant as its captain. Lisa was the best first contact specialist in the galaxy. She had met 17 different alien species and made friends with all of them. She spoke 12 languages and understood 6 more. She knew how to read body language, how to show peaceful intentions, and how to avoid the mistakes that started wars. But she had never met a human. Lisa studied the mission files in her ready room. The official orders were simple. Find out if the humans were responsible for the missing colonies. Learn if they were planning to attack other worlds. Report back to the council with her findings. The unofficial part of her mission was more complicated. If the humans were hostile, she needed to assess their military strength. If they were preparing for war, the council needed to know how much time they had to prepare. If they were already attacking other worlds, Lisa might be the only warning the galaxy would get. She looked at the pictures from the old war 300 years ago. Burned ships floating in space. Battle reports that made no sense. A hegemony. Fleet of 200 warships had entered the Sol system to conquer the humans. Only 30 ships made it out, and their crews were so traumatized they could barely speak about what happened. The official report said the humans had superior technology. Secret files suggested something else. The survivors talked about humans, who kept fighting even when their ships were destroyed. They described boarding actions where human soldiers would detonate explosives rather than surrender, taking enemy troops with them. They whispered about weapons that seemed designed not just to kill but to cause terror. Lisa closed the files and walked to the bridge. Her crew of 45 officers represented 8 different species. They were all volunteers who had requested this mission. That made her proud and worried at the same time. Good people always volunteered for dangerous jobs. Commander Pete Walsh, her human-looking Alterian first officer, handed her the departure report. The Harmony was ready to leave. Fuel tanks full, weapons charged, shields at maximum power. They had enough supplies for 3 months, though Lisa hoped they would not need that long. The trip to human space took 2 weeks. As they got closer to the Sol system, the crew became quieter. Everyone had heard the stories. Everyone knew they might not come home. On the last day of the journey, Lisa called a meeting in the main conference room. Her senior officers sat around the oval table, looking nervous but determined. "We all know why we are here," Lisa began. "The Council needs to know what happened to those missing colonies. They need to know if the humans are a threat to galactic peace. This mission could prevent a war or it could start one." Her science officer, a blue-skinned Andorian named Dr. Sarah Kim, raised one of her 4 hands. "Captain, our sensors are detecting unusual energy patterns from the inner system. The humans appear to have much more advanced technology than our records suggest." Lisa nodded. She had seen the same readings. Whatever the humans were doing in their system, it involved power sources that made their own fusion reactors look like campfires. "Remember," Lisa continued, "we are explorers, not soldiers. Our job is to learn and communicate, not to fight. If we encounter human ships, we will follow first contact protocols. We will try to establish peaceful communication. We will not fire unless fired upon." The meeting ended, and the crew returned to their stations. Lisa remained in the conference room, staring out the window at the stars. Somewhere ahead was the most mysterious species in the galaxy. In a few hours she would finally meet them. What she did not know was that her ship had already been detected by Earth's deep space sensors. In a military complex buried under the Colorado mountains, alarms were ringing. Admiral John Parker was reading reports that made his blood run cold. "How many ships?" Parker asked his intelligence officer. "Just one, sir, but it's big and heavily armed. Unknown design, definitely alien technology." Parker studied the sensor data on his screen. After 300 years of isolation, the aliens had finally come to Earth. The ship was still days away from the inner system, but it was clearly heading for Earth. "Alert all commands," Parker ordered. "Scramble the Third Fleet. If the aliens want a fight, we will give them one they will never forget." Neither side knew they were about to make a terrible mistake. Lisa Grant thought she was on a peaceful exploration mission. John Parker believed he was facing an alien invasion. The misunderstanding that was about to unfold would nearly start, a war between species. But it would also reveal something that would shake the galaxy to its core. Humans were not the primitive savages that other species believed them to be. They were something far more dangerous. They were predators who had learned to hunt among the stars. The Harmony crossed the warning beacons that marked the edge of human space. Behind them, the safety of known territory disappeared. Ahead lay the most feared region in the galaxy, and the species that had made it their home. Captain Lisa Grant was about to discover why no one dared enter human space, and the galaxy was about to learn why that was a very good rule. The first human to see the alien ship was Lieutenant Bobby Chen at Deep Space Station Alpha. He was drinking his 3rd cup of coffee and watching the sensor screens when the contact appeared. The ship was huge, 3 times bigger than Earth's largest battleship. It was heading straight for the inner system. Bobby hit the emergency alarm and grabbed his radio. "Command, this is Alpha Station. We have contact. One large alien vessel, bearing 27 Mark IV, speed .8 light. It's coming right at us." Within minutes, every military base on Earth and Mars was buzzing with activity. Admiral John Parker stood in the war room deep under Cheyenne Mountain, watching the tactical display. The alien ship was still 2 days away from Mars, but it was clearly scanning the system with powerful sensors. "What do we know about their weapons?" Parker asked his aide, Colonel Nancy Davis. "Unknown, sir. The ship is too far away for detailed scans, but it's putting out more energy than our entire fleet combined." Parker nodded grimly. He had spent 30 years preparing for this day. Earth's defenses were ready, but they had always assumed they would face multiple smaller ships, not one massive vessel. On the bridge of the Harmony, Captain Lisa Grant was trying to establish communication with the humans. Her universal translator was working overtime, trying to decode the radio signals coming from the inner system. Most of it was military chatter, but she could tell the humans were preparing for battle. "Dr. Kim, are you having any luck with their language?" Lisa asked her science officer. The blue-skinned Andorian shook her head. "Their language is completely different from anything in our database, Captain. The translator needs more time to build a proper vocabulary." Lisa frowned. This was not going well. The humans were clearly aware of her presence, but she could not tell them she came in peace. Every attempt to send mathematical sequences and friendship signals seemed to make them more agitated. Commander Pete Walsh looked up from his tactical station. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships moving in the inner system. They appear to be taking defensive positions around their fourth planet." Lisa walked to the main viewing screen and stared at the blue-green world ahead, Earth, the human homeworld. She had studied the old records about this planet. It was supposed to be beautiful, covered with water and green plants, but now it was surrounded by warships. "Send another peace signal," Lisa ordered. "Use the standard first contact protocols. Maybe they will understand we are not hostile." What Lisa did not know was that her peace signals looked like targeting data to the humans. The mathematical sequences she sent were being interpreted as firing solutions. The sensor probes she deployed to study the system appeared to be reconnaissance, drones preparing for an attack. Captain Steve Baker commanded the destroyer Guardian, one of 12 ships defending the Mars colony. He had been in space for 15 years, but he had never seen anything like the alien vessel approaching his position. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, like a metal whale swimming through the stars. "Sir, the alien ship is deploying more probes," his weapons officer reported. "They're scanning our defensive positions." Baker watched the tactical display with growing concern. The alien ship was moving slowly but steadily toward Mars. Its probes were mapping every human ship, every defense station, every weapon platform. This looked exactly like what an invasion fleet would do before attacking. "All ships, this is Guardian," Baker transmitted. "The alien vessel is conducting detailed reconnaissance of our positions. I am classifying this as hostile behavior. Weapons, free, repeat, weapons free." The order sent a chill through the human fleet. For 300 years they had prepared for this moment. Now it was finally here. On the Harmony, Dr. Kim suddenly looked up from her console with excitement. "Captain, I think I'm starting to understand their language. They keep using a word that might mean weapon or danger. They seem very frightened." Lisa felt a spark of hope. If the humans were afraid, maybe she could convince them she meant no harm. "Open a channel. Try to transmit a message of peace using their own language." Dr. Kim worked quickly, building sentences from the human words she had decoded. She transmitted a simple message. "We come in peace. Do not be afraid. We want to talk." But the translation was wrong. What the humans heard was, "We come for war. You should be afraid. We want to fight." The misunderstanding was complete. Captain Baker saw the alien transmission appear on his screen. His language specialist, Lieutenant Tom Rodriguez, went pale as he read the message. "Sir, they're threatening us. They say they want to fight." Baker felt his heart pound. The aliens had just declared war on humanity. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but they would not go down without a fight. "All ships, this is Guardian. The aliens have declared hostile intent. I repeat, they want to fight. Engage the enemy vessel." The first shot of the war was fired by Guardian's main plasma cannon. The bright blue beam lanced across space and struck the Harmony's forward shields. The alien ship shuddered under the impact, but kept coming. Lisa staggered as her ship was hit. Warning lights flashed on the bridge as the shields absorbed the plasma blast. She could not believe what was happening. "Captain, they're firing on us," Commander Walsh reported. "Shields holding at 80%. "Why are they shooting?" Lisa asked in confusion. "We sent a peace message." Dr. Kim checked her translation program and turned pale. "Captain, I think there was an error in the translation. We may have accidentally threatened them." Before Lisa could respond, More plasma beams lit up space around them. The human ships were fast and agile, darting in and out of the asteroid belt like hunting wolves. Their weapons were not as powerful as hers, but they were using tactics she had never seen before. "Evasive maneuvers," Lisa ordered. "Do not return fire. Try to signal our peaceful intentions." But the humans were not in a mood to listen. They had been waiting 3 centuries for aliens to attack their home, and now it was happening. Every ship in the system converged on the Harmony like antibodies attacking a virus. Captain Baker led the assault, using the asteroids as cover. His ship would pop out from behind a rock, fire its weapons, then disappear before the aliens could shoot back. It was a tactic humans had perfected fighting each other, and it worked against aliens too. "Hit them again," Baker ordered. "Don't let them get a clean shot at us." The battle raged through the asteroid belt for 6 hours. The Harmony was taking damage, but Lisa refused to fight back. She kept trying to establish communication, to make the humans understand they had made a mistake. Lieutenant Commander Kate Miller watched the battle from the command center on Earth. She was Admiral Parker's best tactical analyst, and something about this fight bothered her. The alien ship was clearly superior in technology, but it was not fighting like an invader. "Admiral, something is wrong here," Miller told Parker. "That alien ship could have destroyed our entire fleet by now, but it's only using defensive weapons." Parker studied the tactical display. Miller was right. The alien ship was trying to escape, not attack. Its weapons were only firing when human ships got too close. "Maybe it's a scout ship," Parker suggested. "Maybe it's trying to get back to report to their main fleet." Miller shook her head. "Sir, I've been monitoring their transmissions. My computer is starting to decode their language. I think they might be trying to surrender." The words hit Parker like a physical blow. If the aliens were trying to surrender, then humanity had just started a war by mistake. But it might already be too late to stop it. On the Harmony, Lisa was running out of options. Half her crew was dead or wounded. Her ship's engines were damaged and her shields were failing. The humans kept attacking from all directions. "Captain, I'm picking up a transmission," Dr. Kim reported. "It's in our language. Someone is trying to talk to us." Lisa felt a surge of hope. "Put it on screen." A human face appeared on the viewing screen. It was Kate Miller, speaking slowly and carefully in the alien language her computer had decoded. "Alien ship, this is Earth Defense Command. We believe there has been a misunderstanding. Are you trying to surrender?" Lisa almost cried with relief. Finally, someone who could understand her. "Yes," she transmitted back. "We surrender. We came in peace. Please stop shooting." The firing stopped. Space became quiet except for the hum of damaged engines and the crackle of cooling weapons. The first contact between humans and aliens had become a battle, but maybe it was not too late to fix the mistake. Both sides would soon learn that their troubles were just beginning. Something much worse was coming, and they would need each other to survive it. Captain Lisa Grant sat in a small room on Luna Base, Earth's moon. The room had no windows and only one door. 2 human guards stood outside, their weapons ready. She had been here for 3 days, answering the same questions over and over again. The humans did not trust her. They thought she was lying about coming in peace. They thought her exploration mission was really a spy mission. Every time she tried to explain about the missing colonies, they asked her more questions about alien military strength. Dr. Amy Chen was different from the other humans Lisa had met. She was a scientist, not a soldier. She studied alien life forms and had spent years wondering what other species might be like. When she walked into Lisa's room carrying a data pad and a cup of tea, Lisa felt hopeful for the first time since her capture. "Captain Grant, I believe you," Amy said, sitting down across the table. "I have been studying the information you gave us about the missing colonies. I think we are all in terrible danger." Lisa leaned forward. "You understand? The colonies really did disappear?" Amy nodded and activated her data pad. Images appeared showing the 3 missing worlds. They had been green and beautiful, home to millions of people. Now they were gray and lifeless, stripped of all plants and animals. Look at these energy readings, Amy said, pointing to the data. Look at the way the biomass was removed. This was not done by any normal species. This was done by machines. Lisa felt her blood turn cold. She recognized the signs now that Amy pointed them out. The perfect geometric patterns where forests had been harvested. The way even the soil had been processed and consumed. She had seen pictures like this in her history classes. Harvesters, Lisa whispered. Amy looked confused. What are harvesters? Lisa stood up and began pacing around the small room. They are machines, ancient machines from the center of the galaxy. They wake up every few thousand years and consume everything they find. Plants, animals, entire civilizations. They use the biomass to build more of themselves. How many worlds have they destroyed? Amy asked. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. The last time they appeared was 2,000 years ago. They consumed 12 star systems before the galaxy united to fight them. It took 50 years and cost billions of lives to drive them back into hibernation. Amy stared at the data pad with new understanding. And now they are awake again. Lisa nodded. The 3 colonies were just the beginning. They will keep expanding, consuming everything in their path, and Earth is right in their way. Amy rushed from the room to find Admiral Parker. She found him in his office reading reports about the damaged alien ship in Earth's shipyard. He looked tired and worried. Admiral, we have a problem, Amy said, bursting through the door. A much bigger problem than one alien ship. Parker looked up from his reports. Dr. Chen, I am very busy. The council is demanding we release their captain, and half my staff thinks we should shoot her and be done with it. Amy slammed her data pad on Parker's desk. The aliens did not destroy those colonies. Something else did. Something that makes our fight with Captain Grant look like a playground argument. Parker studied the images Amy showed him. The dead worlds, the energy readings, the patterns of consumption. As a military man, he could see this was not the work of any normal enemy. What did this, he asked. Machines called harvesters. According to Captain Grant, they are the worst nightmare the galaxy has ever faced. And they are heading this way. Parker felt the weight of command settle on his shoulders. Earth's military was designed to fight other humans, not ancient machine intelligences. Their best weapons were nuclear missiles and plasma cannons. What could they do against enemies that had been consuming civilizations for millions of years? How long do we have? Parker asked. Amy checked her calculations. Based on their movement pattern and speed, maybe 6 months, maybe less. Parker activated his communication system and called an emergency meeting. Within an hour, every senior officer on Earth was sitting around the conference table in the war room. Captain Grant was brought from her cell, still wearing restraints, but finally being listened to. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a situation, Parker began. Our fight with Captain Grant was a mistake. The real enemy is something much worse. He activated the main screen and showed the images of the dead colonies. The room fell silent as the officers realized what they were looking at. General Rick Stone, commander of Earth's ground forces, spoke first. Admiral, our weapons are designed to fight human enemies. How do we fight machines that can strip entire planets? Lisa looked around the room at the human faces. They were scared, but they were not panicking. These were professional soldiers who had spent their lives preparing for war. I can help you, Lisa said. My people have fought harvesters before. We know their weaknesses. Colonel Nancy Davis leaned forward. What weaknesses? They sound unstoppable. Lisa thought carefully about how to explain in simple terms. Harvesters are like a giant mind made of many small parts. They share information instantly across their entire swarm. But if you can disrupt their communication network, they become confused and weak. How do we disrupt their network? Amy asked. Biological weapons, computer viruses, anything that can interfere with their electronic systems. But you need to hit them all at once or they will adapt. Parker studied the tactical display. How many ships are we talking about? Lisa's face was grim. The last swarm had over 10,000 vessels. This one might be bigger. The room fell silent. Earth's entire space navy had fewer than 200 ships. They were outnumbered 50-1, and that was assuming they could get help from other human colonies. Major Tom Grant, no relation to the alien captain, raised his hand. What about the Galactic Fleet? Surely they will help defend against this threat. Lisa shook her head sadly. I sent messages to the Council when I was captured. They voted to maintain the quarantine around your system. They think you are primitives who cannot survive a harvester attack. They will not waste their ships trying to save you. The words hit the humans like a physical blow. They were going to face the greatest threat in galactic history alone, abandoned by every other intelligent species. Parker stood up and walked to the window that looked out over the lunar landscape. In the distance, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the stars. 4 billion humans lived on that world, unaware that their extinction might be only months away. Then we fight alone, Parker said quietly. We have done it before. Dr. Chen pulled up her research files. I have been studying Captain Grant's data about harvester technology. I think I can develop biological weapons that will disrupt their systems, but I will need time and resources. You will have whatever you need, Parker promised. General Stone stood up. Admiral, I recommend we begin evacuating non-essential personnel from the outer colonies. If we are going to make a stand, it should be here in the Sol system. Parker nodded. Agreed. But we evacuate to fight another day, not to surrender. Every man, woman, and child who can hold a weapon will have a chance to defend their home. Lisa watched the humans plan their defense with growing amazement. Any other species would be negotiating surrender terms or fleeing to the far edge of the galaxy. These humans were planning to fight an enemy that outnumbered them 50-1. You cannot win, Lisa said quietly. I have seen what harvesters can do. They will overwhelm your defenses in days. Parker turned from the window and looked at her with eyes that reminded Lisa of deep space, cold and infinite. Maybe we cannot win, he said. But we can make them pay such a price that they will remember humanity forever. When they harvest our worlds, they will know they fought the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The meeting ended with orders, flying in all directions. Ships were recalled from distant missions. Weapons factories went to full production. Scientists began working around the clock to develop new technologies. Every human colony, every space station, every mining operation received the same message. Prepare for war. Captain Grant was released from custody and given quarters on Luna Base. She had chosen to stay and help the humans, even though her own people had abandoned them. She sent one final message to the Galactic Council, warning them about what was coming. The reply came 3 days later. The Council thanked her for her service and ordered her to return immediately. They were not interested in helping primitive humans fight an impossible battle. Lisa deleted the message without responding. She had found something among the humans that did not exist anywhere else in the galaxy. They were not the strongest species, or the smartest, or the most advanced. But they were the only ones who would stand and fight when everything seemed hopeless. The harvesters were coming. Earth had 6 months to prepare for the end of the world. But humanity had something the machines did not expect. They had learned to survive on a planet where everything tried to kill them. They had evolved not just to live, but to fight back against anything that threatened them. The galaxy was about to learn why evolution had created predators and what happened when you cornered the most dangerous one of all. The message from the Galactic Council arrived on a Tuesday morning. Admiral Parker read it 3 times before he understood what it meant. The galaxy had officially abandoned humanity to die. The Council's words were polite, but clear. Earth was too far away to defend. The harvester threat was too dangerous to risk the Galactic Fleet. Humanity was advised to evacuate their system and find new homes on the outer rim of the galaxy. Parker laughed bitterly as he read the suggestion. 4 billion humans should abandon their homeworld and become refugees. They should run away and let the machines take everything their ancestors had built. Not a chance in hell, Parker said to his empty office. He activated the emergency broadcast system and spoke to every human settlement in the galaxy. His words were simple and direct. My fellow humans, the galaxy has turned its back on us. We face the harvester threat alone, but we are not helpless. We are not weak. We are human, and we will show these machines what that means. The response from human colonies was immediate. Ships began arriving at Earth from every corner of human space. Mining vessels, cargo haulers, passenger liners, even luxury yachts. If it could fly, humans were turning it into a weapon. Captain Dan Turner commanded the evacuation fleet that brought civilians from the outer colonies. His ship, the Traveler, had made 16 trips in 2 months. Each time he returned to Earth, he saw new changes that amazed him. The asteroid belt had become a massive weapons platform. Engineers had attached nuclear missiles to space rocks, turning them into guided bombs. The larger asteroids now held railgun batteries that could fire metal slugs at nearly the speed of light. Jupiter's moons were covered with construction sites. Teams of workers in spacesuits were building gun platforms that would make planetary defense stations look like toys. The giant planet's gravity well had become a trap for any enemy ship foolish enough to enter it. Even Earth itself was being transformed. Cities had new underground bunkers that could hold millions of people. The old missile silos from the nuclear age were being reopened and filled with weapons designed to fight in space. If the harvesters landed on Earth, they would find a planet ready for war. Colonel Beth Reynolds supervised the conversion of civilian ships into warships. She stood in the orbital shipyard watching workers install weapons on a cruise ship that used to carry tourists between the colonies. How many torpedoes can we fit in the dining room? She asked the chief engineer. 12, ma'am, but we had to remove all the tables. Beth smiled grimly. The passengers will not need to eat where they are going. The ship was now called the Defender. Its luxury cabins held missile launchers instead of beds. Its entertainment decks were filled with ammunition. In 3 months, it would either help save humanity or become debris floating in space. Dr. Amy Chen worked day and night in her laboratory, developing weapons that could hurt the harvesters. She had studied every piece of data Captain Grant could provide about their technology. The challenge was creating something that could disrupt machines more advanced than anything humans had ever built. Her breakthrough came when she realized that harvesters were not just machines. They were a form of artificial life that had evolved over millions of years. Like all living things, they could get sick. Amy created a computer virus disguised as useful data. When a harvester tried to process the information, the virus would spread through its network and corrupt its programming. The infected machine would then spread the virus to other harvesters without knowing it. It is like a disease, Amy explained to Captain Grant. But instead of attacking biological cells, it attacks electronic ones. Grant studied Amy's work with growing excitement. This could work, but you need to deploy it at exactly the right moment, when all the harvesters are connected and sharing information. Amy nodded. I know. We get one chance. If they detect the virus before it spreads, they will adapt and become immune. Captain Grant had become humanity's unofficial alien advisor. She moved freely around Earth's military bases, sharing everything she knew about harvester tactics. The humans listened to her carefully, but they were also developing strategies she had never seen before. Your people fight differently than anyone else in the galaxy, Grant told Admiral Parker during one of their planning meetings. Parker looked up from the tactical display showing Earth's defenses. How so? Other species try to minimize casualties. They fight to achieve objectives with the least possible loss of life. You are planning to turn your entire solar system into a weapon. Parker nodded calmly. That is because other species have somewhere to retreat to. We do not. This is our home, our only home. We will defend it or die trying. Grant had seen the human preparations and knew Parker was not exaggerating. Children too young for military service were learning to operate mining lasers. Elderly people, who had fought in the colony wars decades ago, were training new soldiers. Even the space stations around Pluto had been turned into forward bases. Engineer Pete Davis was working on the most ambitious project of all. He was turning asteroids into planet-killer weapons. Not nuclear bombs, but kinetic weapons that would hit with the force of natural disasters. The idea is simple. Pete explained to a group of military officers. We accelerate these rocks to incredible speeds and aim them at harvester ships. When they hit, they release more energy than our biggest nuclear weapons. The plan was insane, by normal military standards. Pete was essentially creating artificial meteorites that could destroy cities. But these were not normal times, and humanity was not fighting a normal enemy. Major Tom Grant, who shared a name but no relation to the alien captain, was training special forces teams for boarding actions. His soldiers would attack harvester ships from the inside, planting Amy's virus directly into their computer cores. Remember, Tom told his troops, these machines have been fighting for millions of years. They have seen every tactic, every strategy, every weapon. Except one. They have never fought humans. The soldiers nodded. They knew their mission was probably suicide. Harvester ships were filled with defensive systems and mechanical guards, but they also knew that someone had to deliver the virus, and special forces always got the hardest jobs. Captain Sue Martinez was perhaps the most important person in the human fleet. She commanded the missile cruiser Liberty, the ship that would carry Amy's virus into the heart of the harvester swarm. Her job was to get close enough to upload the virus into their network, then escape before they could stop her. How close do we need to get? Sue asked Dr. Chen during a planning session. Amy checked her calculations. Less than 1,000 kilometers. The virus needs a direct connection to work properly. Sue whistled softly. 1,000 kilometers was point-blank range in space combat. Her ship would be surrounded by enemies, taking fire from all directions. The chances of survival were almost zero. Can you do it? Admiral Parker asked. Sue looked at the tactical display showing the size of the harvester swarm. Thousands of ships, each one bigger and more powerful than anything in the human fleet. But she also thought about Earth, about the 4 billion people counting on her. Yes, sir, we will get your virus delivered. As the months passed, reports from deep space scouts brought worse and worse news. The harvester swarm was larger than expected. Intelligence estimated 12,000 ships, maybe more. They had consumed 6 more star systems and were growing, stronger. But humanity was ready. Every ship was armed, every weapon was loaded, every person knew their job. When the harvesters arrived, they would find something they had never encountered before in millions of years of conquest. They would find a species that had evolved on a world where survival meant becoming the deadliest predator in the ecosystem. They would find warriors who had learned that sometimes the only way to win was to make your enemy pay such a terrible price that victory became meaningless. The deep space sensors detected the first harvester scouts on a cold morning in December. They were still weeks away, but their arrival meant the battle for humanity's survival was about to begin. Admiral Parker stood on the observation deck of Luna Base, looking out at Earth. The blue planet looked peaceful from here, but he knew it was ready for war. Every city, every base, every person was prepared to fight. Come on then, Parker said quietly to the stars. Let us show you what humans can do when you threaten our home. The greatest battle in galactic history was about to begin. Humanity stood alone against an enemy that had conquered thousands of worlds. But they had something the harvesters had never faced before. They had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The harvester fleet arrived on a Tuesday morning, appearing at the edge of the Sol system like a dark cloud blocking out the stars. Captain Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of the human battleship Defiance, watching the enemy ships on the tactical display. There were so many that the computer could not count them all. Estimated enemy strength? Admiral Parker asked from his command chair. Lieutenant Bobby Chen checked his sensors twice before answering. 15,000 ships, sir. Maybe more. Some of them are bigger than our space stations. Parker nodded calmly. The odds were worse than expected, but humanity was as ready as they would ever be. Every human ship was in position. Every weapon was charged. Every person knew that this day would decide whether their species lived or died. The harvesters moved slowly through space, scanning everything in their path. They had consumed so many civilizations that they expected this to be easy. Another primitive species that would surrender or die quickly when faced with superior numbers. They were about to learn how wrong they could be. The first human attack came from the outer asteroid belt, where engineer Pete Davis had hidden his kinetic weapons. Chunks of rock accelerated to incredible speeds, appearing on harvester sensors only seconds before impact. The first wave of projectiles smashed into the alien ships like hammers hitting glass. 3 harvester vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Others were damaged and spinning out of control. The machines had not expected such primitive weapons to be so effective, but they adapted quickly. The harvesters changed formation and began shooting down the incoming rocks with energy beams. Their return fire lit up space with deadly radiation that would have killed any normal enemy. The humans were not normal enemies. Captain Steve Baker led the first wave of human ships out of their hiding places among the asteroids. His destroyer Guardian had been upgraded with new armor and weapons, but it was still tiny compared to the harvester vessels it was attacking. "All ships, this is Guardian," Baker transmitted. "Remember the plan. Hit fast, hit hard, then disappear. Make them chase us." The human ships swarmed around the harvesters like angry insects attacking a giant. They fired their weapons and then vanished behind asteroids before the enemy could target them. It was the same tactic they had used against Captain Grant, but on a much larger scale. Dr. Amy Chen watched the battle from her laboratory on Earth. Her virus was ready, but Captain Martinez had not yet found an opening to deliver it. The harvesters were staying in tight formation, making it impossible for a single ship to penetrate their defenses. "We need to create a distraction," Amy told Admiral Parker over the radio. "Something that will make them break formation." Parker smiled grimly. He had been hoping someone would ask for a distraction. "Colonel Reynolds, you may begin Operation Madhouse." Colonel Beth Reynolds was waiting in the Jupiter system with 50 converted civilian ships. They were not real warships, but they looked dangerous enough to fool enemy sensors. More importantly, they were carrying the largest nuclear weapons humanity had ever built. "All ships, this is Reynolds," she transmitted. "Time to make some noise." The converted cruise ships and cargo haulers charged toward the harvester fleet at maximum speed. They looked like a desperate last attack by a dying species. The harvesters moved to intercept them, breaking their tight formation for the first time. That was when the real attack began. Major Tom Grant and his Special Forces teams launched from hidden positions throughout the system. Their small ships were invisible to most sensors, designed to look like space debris until it was too late. Each team carried a copy of Dr. Chen's virus and orders to plant it in harvester computer systems. Tom's ship reached the largest harvester vessel just as Colonel Reynolds' fleet arrived. The massive machine was distracted by the approaching nuclear weapons and did not notice the tiny human ship attaching itself to its hull. "Breach charges ready," Tom told his team. "Remember, we only get one chance at this." The explosion opened a hole in the harvester's armor. Tom and his soldiers poured through, fighting their way past mechanical defenders toward the ship's computer core. The machines were fast and deadly, but the humans were faster. Sergeant Mike Taylor fell protecting the team's rear. Corporal Lisa Brooks died planting explosives on a security door. One by one, Tom's soldiers gave their lives to get him closer to the target. Tom reached the computer core alone, his armor damaged and his weapon almost empty. The room was filled with strange machines that pulsed with alien light. Somewhere in this maze of technology was the connection point for Dr. Chen's virus. He found it just as Harvester security forces broke through the last door. Tom plugged in the virus transmitter and watched the upload progress bar crawl forward. 50%, 60%, 70%. Energy beams filled the air around him. Tom felt his armor fail and knew he was going to die. But the progress bar reached 100% just as the machines cut him down. The virus spread through the harvester network like wildfire. Within minutes, it had infected hundreds of ships. The mechanical precision that made the harvesters so dangerous became their weakness as the virus jumped from ship to ship through their shared communication system. Captain Sue Martinez saw her chance when the harvester formation began to break apart. Ships were spinning out of control as the virus corrupted their navigation systems. Others were firing randomly as their targeting computers failed. "All power to engines," Sue ordered. "Take us into the middle of that mess." The Liberty raced, toward the largest concentration of harvester ships. Enemy fire filled space around them, but most of it was aimed at empty space due to the virus interference. Sue's ship reached the heart of the enemy fleet and began transmitting the virus directly into their command network. Upload complete, Dr. Chen reported from Earth. The virus is spreading through their entire fleet, but the harvesters were not finished. Their queen ship, a massive vessel the size of a small moon, had isolated itself from the network when the virus began spreading. It was still fully functional and very angry. The queen ship's weapons could destroy planets. When it fired at Earth, the energy beam was bright enough to see from Mars. But Admiral Parker had prepared for this moment. Earth's entire surface lit up as defensive shields activated. The beam struck the shields and scattered harmlessly into space. Our turn, Parker said. Every weapon platform in the Sol system fired at once. Nuclear missiles, kinetic projectiles, energy beams, and experimental weapons that had never been tested in combat. The combined firepower of humanity's entire military focused on a single target. The Queen ship's shields held for almost 10 seconds. Then they failed, and the massive vessel began to break apart under the assault. Its death scream was transmitted across subspace, reaching every corner of the galaxy. The remaining harvester ships, cut off from their queen and infected with the virus, began shutting down one by one. Some tried to flee, but human ships hunted them down without mercy. Others simply drifted in space, their crews dead and their computers destroyed. Captain Grant watched the end of the battle from the bridge of the Defiance. In 6 hours of fighting, humanity had accomplished something that had taken the combined galactic fleet 50 years to achieve. They had permanently ended the harvester threat. "How did you do it?" Grant asked Admiral Parker. "Your technology is not that advanced. Your numbers were impossible. You should have lost." Parker looked out at the debris field that had once been the most feared fleet in galactic history. Human ships were already beginning salvage operations, collecting harvester technology to study and improve their own weapons. "We did lose," Parker said quietly. "We lost thousands of good people today, but we made sure the enemy lost more. That is how humans fight. We do not just defend ourselves. We eliminate threats so completely that no one will ever threaten us again." The news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy like a shockwave. The species that had been dismissed as primitive savages had single-handedly destroyed the harvesters. Every alien government suddenly wanted to establish diplomatic relations with Earth, but humanity was no longer interested in joining the galactic community that had abandoned them. They had learned they could stand alone, and they preferred it that way. The quarantine beacons around human space were updated with a new message. Instead of warning ships to stay away from dangerous primitives, they now warned about apex predators who had proven they could kill anything that threatened them. Captain Grant chose to remain with the humans rather than return to her own people. She had seen what humanity was capable of when cornered, and she knew the galaxy would never be the same. "Your species is terrifying," she told Admiral Parker during the victory celebration. Parker smiled and raised his glass. "We prefer to think of ourselves as very good at solving problems. The harvesters were a problem. Now they are extinct." Years later, when alien children asked why no one dared enter human space, their parents would tell them about the species that had evolved on a world where everything tried to kill them. They would explain how humans had learned that the best defense was to make potential enemies too afraid to attack.